Hello, good morning. No, it's not morning. It's, well, for some people maybe, but for me it's coming up on evening. Uh, like I'm really, it's insane the amount of code that has been written today. I, uh, I'm a parent. I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. Our 8-year-old is sick today, but the 4-year-old uh, requires what a 4-year-old requires, and just being like in the family, it's weekend, there's some small stuff that needs to be done, but it's just insane how much stuff I get done because I know what I want and I just need to get the code written, and it's still very much like a even though it's in production, is starting to transition. Even though it's transitioning to a production project, it's like still very much exploring. Like the code base is still in flux because I'm exploring different concepts and so on. But it's just insane. And Claude Code CLI is the whole reason I feel this way. And I'm so happy because the thing is, like, I'm not like a proper programmer. Like, I didn't go into programming because I enjoy the art of programming. Even though I find it fascinating and interesting, it's not why I do programming. I do programming because I have ideas. I like to build things. I like to create things that other people can interact with. And now I'm suddenly able to, like, I've never actually put anything properly into production before. Well, that's not true. Like, I did create like Webpack bin, and yeah, I guess that's the only one. I tried a couple of other projects, but they completely fall flat because when you actually put something in production and you get user feedback, that's when the actual work starts. And I don't have the time to like keep something afloat, like continue iterating on something. I'll lose my motivation. It's just too much of an effort. But now that's not an issue at all, which is amazing. Yeah, it's just amazing. Anyways, so I actually reflected on, because the way I've been using Claude Code is where's my VS Code? So I've been using it like here in VS Code, but I actually checked. I'm gonna buy a small monitor, vertical monitor, and like an arm, and then I'm gonna have like a vertical monitor with like 1, 2, 3 claws on it next to me. So it kind of conceptually feels more like a colleague, like you're interacting with someone next to you, but also that I find it way more useful to kind of separate AI from my actual environment, which is completely contradictory to what like Cursor and Windsurf and those people are trying. If I actually care about code, I just want to care about it the way I'm used to caring about it. Not care, but of course I care about code, but care about writing code, I mean. Anyways, so what I've done is I'm trying to kind of create this messaging. And the way I think about it is kind of like what I just talked about. It's this concept of being able to just work on the product and not having to do all the grunt work. And especially if you deploy something to production, you have this trail of maintenance work that needs to happen, and it distracts you from pushing the product forward. And this is what the tool really tries to do. It's to delegate these routine tasks and focus on product. And then what's also unique about this is that it's sandbox AI agents working across GitHub repos. So unlike GitHub that has concepts of like asynchronous tasks, it's always bound to a single repo, as I understand it. So what I've done now is that I've actually added the exact feature. So there's asynchronous tasks, There's PR reviews, there's contributions, and I just added spec drafts. I'm gonna show that to you. Custom agents, and then secure and fast, blah, 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 blah. So we're gonna fix another issue today. Let's see. I found an issue which I think is pretty okay, which is incorrect OpenAPI types. This is a good one. Anyway, so, and I've also done a ton of iterations on like the UI and just making things more consistent. And it's like, it's really coming together. So maybe we can fire off this before we continue looking into this thing. And what I've added now, which I'm very curious about, is that I've added this feature where it's going to look at the username of the issue and the username of me, like here, adding the task. And if that username is the same, it's going to give a response in the context of it's me contributing with something. But if it's different, meaning that I am contributing with an AI task to someone who has created an issue, it's going to change its understanding. It understands that relationship, and it should respond a bit differently. Anyways, so let's just add that issue task. And then, let's see here. Cool. So I've added specs. And the way specs work is that it's basically the same as a task in terms of like interacting with it. But it's prompt to write an actual specification file. So I'm gonna show you an example here. If I go to Code Sandbox, I try this. So here we also, I didn't have any styling on the markdown, which was silly. Anyways, so I've actually removed this part now. This is not actually in the persistence. This is just something that's passed. So this is kind of like the system prompt for a spec task. So this was the actual prompt. So we're adding a new sandbox type to our product that we want to test. We call it Pint. To be able to test this, Code Sandbox SDK needs to be able to pass a feature flag on creating a sandbox. Our Code Sandbox server needs to store this flag on the sandbox and make sure it is passed down to Picture Manager, whenever we try to start a sandbox on the server using blah, blah, blah. So Claude went ahead here. It cloned the two repositories. It examined the two projects, and it wrote a specification. And here is kind of the summary of that specification. But if I go to spec, we can see the, oh yeah, we don't need that header. We can see the actual specification. So it's very fascinating. It goes like into pretty insane details here, because it went through the actual repos, right? So it has a lot of context on what's already there, and it shows like code suggestions and all of this. The point though isn't that this spec is something that we as engineers are gonna like, oh, let's do this, or I'm gonna use this spec and just give it back to Claude. Like I could do that if I wanted to, which is why this feature is just a copy. And the reason it's just a copy is because I think this is best dealt with when there is a feature suggestion. You can just go in and you can make an AI retrieve context from the different repos in that affecting that feature. It's going to write the specification. You can share the specification with the engineers on the team, and then you go into a session and you discuss the feature and the technical details. So what I often find myself in is like, oh, we're going to do this new feature. We go in with a blank slate into a speccing session or scoping session, and everybody has their perspective on, like, we're different engineers, back end, front end, infra. We all have our different perspectives, which is really great. But the conversation is very much like we're trying with these different perspectives to build up a common understanding of what we're trying to build. But it's much better to go in with even a shitty suggestion on how to do it. But at least then all perspectives are incorporated and you can start molding the spec as opposed to try to like build it up as you go. You spend a lot of time doing that. So that's really what I want this feature to be. It's like, okay, we're doing a scoping session tomorrow. Let's just start an asynchronous task that writes a spec, and we're going to read that spec before we jump into the session. And maybe you'll even use that and iterate on it. Or maybe you just use it for input. Maybe you use it as is and you just give it back on the task and execute on it. Like, doesn't matter. But I find this super, super fascinating. So what I also added, I think I talked about this. I added agents. Oh, Code Sandbox doesn't have any agents. So this is a Git handler. I'm gonna polish this a bit. Yeah, I think I talked about the agents. But the agents are really more, so I added one agent locally, which is like repo context retriever kind of thing. So, or code navigator or whatever I called it, which is basically whenever you prompt, you want to go and figure, like it's prompting from scratch, right? Maybe you have a Claude file and you can give it some context, conceptual context and pointers to the code base. But nevertheless, it has to go in and search for a lot of things in the code base to kind of build up its context. And doing so, it's reading a shit ton of stuff. A lot of that stuff is not relevant to actually act on the prompt. So having an agent that does that in its own context and then rather reports back the actual relevant context, that's much better. But I'm not sure, like, should those agents kind of be part of the service as default, or should you be able to configure your own agents, and so on? I don't know yet. And then I added some guides. Oh, we don't have the specs here. I have to add that. Very simple stuff for now. But this is going to be useful. And then I also added like these nice placeholder loading things. And also here you see it's kind of nice, these placeholder loading states. Cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is like just manage like large amounts of data. So for example, we shouldn't show tasks that are like older than a week, for example. That's like in an archive. Or maybe we'll just have like a drop down which is like last 7 days and you can change that. The same for invoices and credits and all of that. It needs to be queried by time span. But yeah. Oh, let's go and find the contribution. Forgot about it. Oh, it's still pending. Oh, interesting. This looked weird. Yeah, it wasn't that weird. But okay. Oh, interesting. It's still working. Oh, now let me create a comprehensive documentation file explaining the fix. Okay, it's about to finish up, so let's see. Weird that it chose to create documentation. Shouldn't really need to do that, but anyways. That's why we're testing it. Okay, let's rather jump into it. Oh yeah, this link. We have to fix this link. Interesting. So it doesn't. I wonder how we're gonna make it do that. Is that what they call hooks? Like if there's at certain times you wanna perform some predictable behavior. I'm gonna look into that. These hooks things. Let's see. I'm gonna. Let's see. Check. Fix issue link in header. What was the other thing? I can't remember. Check hooks to see if we can tune the issue response. Because what I really want is for it to oh, I think we removed it. Oh, interesting. Anyways, yeah, actually, I think we removed the rest sessions. Like we still have the open API spec, but we removed the implementation. The expect the response wrapped in API format, but the actual code sandbox API returns. Okay, yeah, I guess this was my bad. REST session class. It's very interesting how it just tries to blindly make the thing the issue wants happen. There is no like evaluation if this is a good idea or not. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I think this is one I don't want to have here. I think. Let's look at the thing. This they was reported. Open which correctly define. Yeah. Created fixed types. Actual API response format. Oh, so this is actually, oh, interesting. Maybe this is the actual generating of the types. It could also be that we just didn't update the spec. Like the API actually changed the result, and then we just didn't update the spec or regenerate the spec. Okay. But yeah, so I don't think this is the... I think I'm going to remove this one. Or I'm going to keep it. I'm going to actually check if we... Do we actually have that class anymore? Like, I'm pretty sure we removed it. Oh, what's this? This is something else. Here we are. Yeah, we don't have a REST client anymore. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I forgot about that. So we actually do not have a REST a REST client anymore. The reason is that you can still build one using the open API spec. Wait a minute. I can't remember this. Oh, vacation. Do we have it? No, because we only have connect. Sorry, sandbox. Rest. No, we removed it. So the REST API was actually removed in a breaking change. The reason is that we are working on a new sandbox type, which will be REST based, except live terminal output, which will still be WebSocket. This is gonna normalize how we interact with normalize and simplify how we interact with the sandboxes. This is going to normalize and simplify how we stay tuned for that. Yeah. Okay, cool. It's very interesting. Like, so what I learned from this is that we should really prompt, where is it? Check the issue prompt to properly analyze if the issue the wishes in the issue make sense for the current state of the code base. Well, this is the thing also, is like this SDK has been in flux for quite some, not quite some time, but for some time, because it's been a proof of concept that's been iterated on very, very quickly. But yeah. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep it here. I'm not going to delete the message. I'm not sure if I can even. It's just nice to have it there. Oh, I can, but yeah. Or should we just keep this? No. I don't know. Should I have it there? Should I remove it? Well, it's wrong, so I'm gonna remove it. Oh, I can hide it? Outdated. Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. So I think people can actually, yeah, so people can actually look at it. That's cool. Okay, but I think that's it. I'm not gonna do anything more. So I got a few notes. Fix the issue link header, check hooks to see if we can tune the issue response, check the issue prompt to properly analyze. Yeah, I'm gonna explore and research that a little bit. Cool. Yep. Bye for now.